was hit early and hit hard by challenge. When in the 90s and earlier, chronic pain is a big problem that has been tried to be addressed. And when Purdue Pharma and the other companies came out with these drugs like OxyContin and said they were safe, providers started prescribing them at a high rate. And what we saw with the injured workers is this addiction pattern. And one of the things that we started doing was prescription drug monitoring programs where you can get a better view into what's happening across the board, looking at physician dispensing. People were incented to do dispensing themselves versus through the pharmacy from a profit motive standpoint. So from within the industry itself, there are a number of steps that you can take, and some of those have translated across the board. I think a couple of the priorities need to be harm reduction, so getting Narcan, naloxone out there. That needs to be something that is more funded and out there today. Medically assisted treatment has been proven to help people. This is not something that is easy to deal with on your own, and without that medically assisted treatment, you're going to have problems. I would fight for removing the need for a waiver to prescribe buprenorphine and methadone. Those are drugs that today you need special dispensation to prescribe. You don't need that to prescribe the OxyContin that got you into the problem in the first place. And then this is an area where we can potentially leverage an existing asset, the healthcare system that we have today. Unfortunately, substance use disorder, mental health is not as blended into everyday treatment and the structure. So the more that we integrate those, the more that we remove stigma from the system, we help out in those regards. So one of the things talking to primary care physicians, if they had the training and the access to these treatments, they could start doing that versus having to have a separate medical section for that. So those are all different things that I would use to approach the problem.
So the state of Massachusetts has made a little bit of progress here that I think we can build upon. We know that prescription caps and prescription drug monitoring work. We also know that early education and making an investment there is helpful. We have to take a long-term view when we're talking about treatment and recovery because of the relapse rate. You know, I go around the district and there's no question that the communities like Lawrence and Haverhill and Fitchburg, well, they're disproportionately harmed right now by this crisis, and it is a public health care crisis that requires urgency, urgent solutions. This is not, from what I can tell and from what I've been told, an addiction that you just fight with willpower. So I do think that the federal government has a role to play with increasing medically assisted treatment, as well as the role of Narcan. I mean, look, we have to keep people alive, right? We have to give them a second chance, and then we have to get them on the path to recovery. And that is not 3 to 6 months. That is not even 6 to 12 months. That is a long road that we have to invest in. We have to make sure that people are back on their feet, in a good paying job, in housing, and reunited with their family. And finally, we have to hold the pharmaceutical companies accountable. Pharmaceutical companies are a powerful lobby in Washington. I got to see it up close. And they have a big role to play in over-marketing opioids to physicians who have been prescribing them for decades. We need to adjust our regulations to account for that and make sure it never happens again. I think we also have to hold the pharmaceutical companies accountable for that.
Mr. Green. Two things. So we heard about the opioid crisis literally from day one, everywhere we went. It doesn't care what you look like, how much money you make, where you live. It hits everybody equally. So as a businessman, I thought to myself, it's a huge problem. All the politicians say it's a huge problem, so they must be doing something. What are they doing? I looked at the entire congressional delegation from Massachusetts. Some of these folks, 17 staff members, up to 40 staff members. Not one of them has a member of their staff whose job is dealing with the opioid crisis. Day one, when I take office, that changes. This issue is so important, I decided we couldn't wait. I've already appointed a gentleman, Sal DeFranco, former Navy SEAL, lost his sister to the opioid crisis, already heads up on an interim basis my Empowering Recovery Task Force, because we can't wait. He's already coordinating between local groups. When I get to DC, he'll coordinate all the resources that are available, federally, state, local, to make sure this district has the best that's available. Another thing, you won't hear anyone else talk about this. Opiates is a business. It's an illegal business, but it is a business, a distribution business. I run a distribution business. I compete with Amazon.com. All right, I get it intuitively. It's based in Lawrence. You've got 495, 95, 93. You've got easy access to the highway. Okay, once we start to understand the business fundamentals, we make it more difficult. I am uniquely qualified to disrupt the trade in fentanyl because of my experience. And when I get to Congress, that's exactly what I'm going to do.